Here, it's really great to see that every company which is producing a different kind of goods, no matter if it's like a heating system or a machine or a truck or a forklift, with the data, new business models can be established, no matter the size of the company.
Welcome to FNet Silica's We Talk IoT. We'll chat with innovators, experts, and business owners to learn how they are implementing IoT and using data to create new business opportunities. I am your host, Stephanie Ruth Haydock. With the Internet of Things, many things are possible. The potential of connectivity by design is huge, but randomly collecting data doesn't turn it into gold overnight. Without a strategy and the right mindset, data itself has only limited value. To build a long-term scalable business model, strategy, monetarization, and education of employees must go hand in hand. In this episode, we learn from Microsoft's Max Morwind how data can generate value for any company, no matter the industry or size. If you do the work and invest in a solid strategy first and the necessary culture and mindset change. I'm happy to welcome Max Morwind, Senior Technical Sales Manager, EMEA IoT and Mixed Reality at Microsoft, to the show. I hope I said it right. Welcome, Max.
Thank you so much for the nice introduction. Yes, and the title was correct. Thank you.
I can't imagine that someone does not know what Microsoft does, but not everybody might know about your IoT and cloud offerings. Could you give us a brief overview? What does Microsoft up to?
Sure, very happy to do so. So in the last 7 to 8 years, Microsoft is heavily investing to build a hybrid IoT, Internet of Things, platform which can operate on the edge, on the different devices, on the different gateways locally, but also to build a corresponding offering in the cloud where we have a secure and scalable platform in order to send data from the different machines, from the different sensors, from the different devices, analyze it, send it to the cloud, and get value out of the data. So that's something Microsoft is heavily investing over the last 7 to 8 years, where we have built up an end-to-end platform.
Yeah, you have been really busy. I did obviously some research, and this whole Azure IoT platform is immensely huge. What would your recommendation be? What would be the first step of any IoT journey?
You're right. So overall, and these possibilities today are quite extensive. So we have different parts of what we call an end-to-end solution. End-to-end means that we have the connectivity piece, which is then really sending the data from the different devices over to the cloud. But then we also have components in order to store the data, to analyze the data, to get value out of the data. And then to integrate the data also in the business processes, so like into a CRM or ERP system, but also to visualize the data and to really use the data for the humans to get value out of the data. So that's the holistic end-to-end offering and solution. And we normally would recommend to start with what is the value which you would like to get out of the data, right? So why would you connect your sensors? Why would you connect your machines and devices? And what is your strategy? What do you do with the data? How do you monetize it? And then we would really look into what is the suitable technology, the suitable architecture in order to implement a scalable and secure overall solution. So that's normally the procedure which we are supporting our customers on.
So strategy first.
Strategy first, because as you know, a lot of people say data is the new gold or the new oil, which somehow is true, but in the last couple of years, I saw too many projects where our customers and partners started to just collect randomly the data, sending it to the cloud, storing it, but without a clear plan on who is really paying for the data and how is the real monetarization looking like. A lot of these projects somehow really not scaled in the way that our customers were anticipating. And that's something where we say, okay, it has to go hand in hand, the strategy, the monetarization, as well as the skilling of the employers, of the customer, in order to really build up a substantial, long-term, profitable new business. So that's definitely something which is important.
So the strategy building is probably something that many clients would like to skip and monetize on the nuggets, on the gold nuggets right away. But that's shortcuts are not possible, I guess.
Yes, I think it's really quite a different approach than just to optimize the hardware which our customers are producing, right? So, for example, for machine builders, over the last decades, they are heavily specialized in focusing on to optimize their machine. And every year they make it 1% or 2% better. But now with the digital possibilities and the digital offerings, this is really a completely new discipline for many of our customers, which means that they need to build up different skills in their own workforce, but also the understanding of data, how you can monetize data internally, but how you can also leverage the data across the full value chain with the customers of our customers or even their suppliers. That is definitely something which is a very new discipline. And here we see that a lot of our customers are building up these new skills, but it's a journey and it's not happening overnight. It's really like a long-term task.
What I heard from your comment right now is that this also has to do something with culture and mindset.
That's probably the most underestimated area of such a digital transformation. Technology-wise, a lot of things are possible today on the edge, but also in the cloud. From a monetarization point, I think there are patterns which are easy to monetize. But as you pointed out, the culture, right? You have new different teams now collaborating together from HR over finance, product development, marketing, sales. A lot of different teams need to collaborate here closely together. And this is definitely something which is new for many of the customers. And so therefore, this needs to be well established. And that's a journey which needs to be also sponsored and supported by the top management. They really need to understand this new strategy, the new potential, give the right funding, but even more important, give the different teams and humans time to study, time to learn, time to really get familiar with this new digital transformation. I think that's very important to make sure that these pilots and MVPs, which we see all over the place, that they really get implemented into a connectivity by design strategy of our customers and really be implemented large scale. So that's definitely something where we see a lot of our customers being in this process right now to include the connected products into their overall business offerings.
Yeah, very interesting. Do you maybe have a use case or a client example that is like a light tower, something that inspires you? I think these guys have really done it well from end to end. An example of a successful IoT project you've managed.
So over the last years, we had the pleasure to work with multiple customers and partners, and luckily we have a huge amount of productive scenarios. One customer and one scenario which is very close to my heart, because actually I work more than 5 years now with this customer. Is a heating manufacturing customer, family owned here in Germany, which is called Fissmann. And they have done a lot of things right on their journey, right? It's really something where from the founder family, right, the CEO Max Morwind himself, they understood that the digital business is the future for them and really also a competitive advantage, especially if you look at a global market. We see more and more, obviously, competitors from all over the world, from the Americas, but also strongly from Asia, which can produce at a significant cheaper price point. So therefore, it's key to differentiate a customer value and benefit. And so therefore, Fissmann was building up their platform to connect the heating systems over the last years and to provide new innovative services to their end customers, but also to their dealers, which are actually implementing and maintaining the different heating systems, and also providing possibilities to have APIs with anonymized data to external startups and developers to create really the leading edge new applications on top of the data. So this is one example how such a new end-to-end ecosystem could look like, and how the different data points from the heating systems can be used into multiple different areas, all the way to optimize the R&D department in order to create the next generation of more efficient heating systems. So that's one example which I like, because it shows the complexity on the one hand side, but all of the huge opportunities of the benefits which you can provide from the data holistically. So that's one example I would like to share.
That's really astonishing to me, because Viessmann, I think, is more like what we would call a medium-sized company, I guess, with a very analog product, or heating systems used to be analog, something you put on your wall and then gas flows through it. But that for a company like this to be so innovative and realize the potential of digital transformation and putting sensors into a system where, I don't know, 20, 50 years ago, no one would have ever thought that this would be the road we go. But now they're at the top of their game, and maybe even ahead of everybody else, and facing all the global challenges we have. This is really quite astonishing. What do you think? What was needed for them to go this path? I suppose it's a mixture of someone who has a digital mindset or sees the potential.
Exactly. Digital mindset, in this case of Max Viessmann, the owner as well as the CEO, right? But obviously also market leading product. I think we have these hidden champions, a lot of these hidden champions in Germany, but also in Europe overall, which are leading in their specific niche. And if we have this excellence from the machine building or electricity, all of the different history which we have as an innovation, and if we blend that now with the digital age of getting value out of the data, I think that's a huge opportunity for our economy and for the different companies to stay ahead in the global and more global market and competition, and to really create new digital offerings which are providing value. So in the case of Viessmann, if they actually manage to save 8% of the energy their heating systems consume, that's real money for the owners. But also now in the environmental discussion, this is game-changing. And here it's really great to see that every company which is producing a different kind of goods, no matter if it's like a heating system or a machine or a truck or a forklift, with the data, new business models can be established, no matter the size of the company. And connectivity by design, as Viessmann calls it for themselves, that is something which is really critical. And if you embed this in your DNA, in your culture, and if you set up your organization in a way that you can really monetize and get value out of the data, that's definitely the right way forward in order to establish these kind of like new digital business models.
This podcast is brought to you by FNet Silica, the engineers of evolution. If you want to learn more about us, we have put information and links in this episode's show notes, and you can also connect with us on LinkedIn or avnet-silica.com. That's avnet-silica.com. You mentioned that you accompanied them on their journey for the last 5 years. Was there something, and you obviously are an IoT expert in your field, but was there something that surprised you on the way? Something you wouldn't have thought about at the beginning?
First of all, I think that the top management of the customer, they have to come up with their own strategy, and they have to come up with the model on how they are leveraging the data and monetizing the data. So that's something where we can give recommendations, and we did also joint workshops on this one. But that's something, a little bit the homework of the customer. But the good thing is, if we do trainings, if we show how the technology works, how you can store the data, how you can use machine learning, AI, and so on, it is amazing to see how creative the people at the customers can really get. And sometimes We see new functionalities like digital twin services, which are being used now today in productive environments without us. And that's actually also great to see that if we explain the potential of the technology, and if the humans understand the potential, they're getting so creative because they know their business best. And then we see these use cases popping up from the service and sales departments. And a lot of people are having now access to the application, to the services, and they are really understanding how to create value out of it. So that's actually great to have this tipping point when we don't have to sell or explain the technology anymore, but really see the creativity of the humans creating new valuable services out of the data.
So, but this is not something that is only for big companies. This is something where companies across all industries, across all sizes benefit from?
I mean, large companies have the privilege that they often have a larger digital team. So normally they're quite in a pole position regarding this new innovative service and solutions. But as you can see, Fismon, as a family-owned company, they are executing in a similar way. And we are also partnering and working closely with startups, mainly also sustainability startups. And it is across every kind of like customer size that we see this innovation. And it's really more on the mindset of the different people, and to do the training and readiness that they understand how the different technologies work. And if they understand it, they are very innovative and creative to find new applications. So I think that's really something every customer, every company can benefit from in the future.
You just mentioned startups that focus on sustainability. Do you have an example?
Cybus, for example, they are a German startup in the water CO2 energy industry, and they're really helping to digitalize the value chain. So from the producers of water energy all the way to the customers, also the grid. So they're really helping to make the energy consumption green. And that's something which is just one example of very innovative sustainability startups which are leveraging Azure, which are leveraging our platform for the connectivity side, but also for analyzing the data, showing the dashboards, also predicting the possible pricings of the energy generation of the solar and wind energy. So that is something which is really disrupting the full energy chain, and something which we then also bring to the large enterprises, so to the BASFs of the world, as well as to the energy producers, in order to leverage this innovation. Because today there are so many huge challenges which we are facing as a society overall, that we need to bring the most innovative new solutions, mainly also from startups, into scalability, which can only happen in a partnership together with the large enterprise customer. So that's something where we are building the bridge between the innovation of the startups and the scalability of a global enterprise customer.
You really have very interesting projects concerning sustainability and conservation. And I think it's really cool that now tech can help solve problems that matter to everybody and every one of us. That's really cool. And then looking forward, what do you think are the big trends in your industry in the following years? Is that something, can we maybe look into the magic 8-ball together?
For sure, the scalability and the implementation of productive solutions is definitely something which you go to see in the future across the full value chain. So collaboration across the different companies in the specific industry. So we're going to see definitely more of data sharing, data using across the value chain in the specific industry as one mega trend. And then the industrial metaverse is also something where we have the first projects which we are implementing with our customers and partners today, in order to also address the topic of labor shortage in the factories. So that's definitely something which is helping to make the talent of the humans be used more efficiently in the future. These are definitely two things which we are currently starting to see to rise. And in the medium and long term, we see that many of our customers are working on autonomous production. So the full integration of the value chain, starting from the machine, starting from the supply chain, looping in also robots working together with humans. That's definitely something where we will see more and more automation in the different processes, which data will be supporting and enabling and driving. So these are the key things today, which we start to see, which will even expand in the future.
Since you mentioned the Metaverse, what is Microsoft doing in that field?
So Metaverse is a huge topic, and currently we see 3 different types of Metaverse, where Microsoft overall is engaged. In our area, it is really around the industrial Metaverse. So really leveraging the data of the different machines, the different devices, and then having a possibility to remotely collaborate in the shop floor and, for example, to program an MES remotely. So that's a huge a topic that companies which we are working with, they have a global presence. They have factories around the globe in the different areas. And if something is not working, something breaks down, in the past, either they had the experts in the specific location or they had to send someone from the headquarters in order to analyze and repair the specific topic. Now with HoloLens and remote support as two possibilities to easily join everyone in any place of the world within seconds, this is a completely new possibility to solve these kind of issues and to make sure that the factories will run way more smoothly in the future. So these are different scenarios which our customers are currently testing and implementing in order to really have a closer visibility, transparency, and then also optimization, which leads to lower downtime in the future, but also a higher degree of automation in the different processes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it will be exciting to see if we maybe meet again on the show to see what has happened of the trends you predicted.
Yeah, I mean, no one knows exactly what will happen in the future, but the possibilities to create value with the different data for the benefit of the humans overall, this is definitely something which will continue no matter of the speed, but that's definitely for sure.
Is there something that I have missed? Is there something that I have forgotten to ask you?
I think one overall, perhaps last statement is that data itself has limited value. Data only can benefit if it benefits for the humans, right? So the humans must always be and stay in the center, and the data of the machines, of the robots, of the different sensors, there will be more and more data, and the data will be more and more interconnected. But the humans need to stay in the center of the technology as well as of the new process which we implement. I think that's definitely key, as well as the change management perspective, that we will need new skills in the workforces of the future. And that's definitely something where we need to start early with the education in the schools and the universities in order to enable also significant value for our societies in the future. I think that's going to be key.
That's a very nice closing remark. Thank you so much, Max, for being on the show and sharing your expertise and your insights with us. It was really very fascinating. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
This was Avnet Silica's We Talk IoT. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave a rating. Talk to you soon.